Good morning, directors. I now call to order this joint meeting of the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agency and the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency. We will begin with the invocation given by Director Connors and the pledge given by, or led by alternate Lim. Director Connors.
Creator of all things, we give thanks for the privilege and responsibility of serving the people of Orange County in Southern California. Guide us to be the leaders that they need. We ask for clarity as we do the people's work, that our discussions will be thoughtful and creative, our decisions responsible, and our actions always in the best interest of those we serve. We pray for the safety of all who use our roads and all who travel. In your many names I pray. Amen.
Amen. Alternate Lim.
Please put your hand over your heart and salute to the greatest symbol of freedom. And ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, will you please call roll?
Chair Otto.
Here.
Director Connors.
Here.
Director Grant. Director Pazelt.
Present.
Director Stevens. Director Zandbergen. Vice Chair Voits.
Here.
Alternate Figueroa.
Here.
Director Bilodeau. Director Chafee.
Present.
Alternate Lim.
Here.
Director Meeks.
Here.
Alternate Nielsen.
Here.
Chair Kelly.
Here.
Vice Chair Penalosa. Alternate Annas.
Here.
Director Frost.
Here.
Director Go.
Here.
Director Taylor.
Here.
Director Wagner. Director Zhao. Chair, we have quorum.
Thank you so much. Are there any public comments?
There are no public comments at this time, Chair.
Okay, I'd like to ask the directors if you have any questions or comments regarding any of the items today. Please select the request to speak from the drop-down menu on the device in front of you. The clerk and I will be able to see your request. Now we will move on to our San Joaquin Hills consent calendar items 1 through 4 and 6 through 7. Would any directors like to pull or discuss any of those items?
Madam Chair, I move the consent calendar.
Okay, I have a motion from Director Connors and a second from Director Frost. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you so much. Now we'll move on to the Foothill Eastern consent calendar, items 1 through 3, 5 through 7. Would any directors like to pull any of those items?
Madam Chair, I'd like to move the calendar.
Okay, we've got a motion from Director Voits and a second from Director Meeks. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you so much. We're now going to move on to our board business items 8 through 10. First, we have item 8, fiscal year 2026 strategic plan status report. This is a receive and file item and does not require a vote. The item will be presented by our Deputy CEO, Tim Byrne. May we please have that report?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, board members. Tim Byrne, Deputy CEO. And again, as noted by the chair, this is a receive and file item, and this is the annual status update of our strategic plan. A little bit of background, this strategic plan we're currently operating under was adopted by the board in September of 2024. It covers fiscal years 25 through 2029. And we developed a format in the past that's been used, and we find that to be consistent and clear. Basically, it's a dashboard that identifies the status of where we stand with the various activities. We identify them as they're on track, at risk for completion, or unlikely to be completed, and a check mark if it is complete. We develop 7 focus areas based on the vision and mission of the agency, and each focus area has goals and objectives and very specific activities to define direction, and provides a roadmap to staff of board initiatives and provides a way to track whether we are satisfying those board initiatives or not. So I'm going to walk through each focus area and just highlight one, maybe two things in each focus area. The detailed information for every activity is in the staff report included as part of your agenda package. So if there's additional detail desired, you can look at that, or certainly staff and all the chiefs responsible for the focus areas are available for questions at the end. Starting with fiscal management. The one highlight I like to point out here is activity 3, 417 million early debt pay down over a 5-year period. That's phenomenal progress for the agency. We're on track to do that. We made a 47 million pay down for San Joaquin this past January, another 47 million pay down anticipated this coming January, and then 123 million callable bond is due July of next year of 2027. So once we make that payment, which we fully anticipate to do, we will have satisfied this specific activity and could have a check mark there. That'll be a great achievement for our CFO's team there. For environmental stewardship, we don't have any items completed here because these are all basically ongoing items throughout the year. One point out, additional wildlife fencing, we've made significant progress on this particular activity. The board did approve a plan for wildlife fencing moving forward last October, or maybe it was even earlier than that, I believe. But we are moving forward with the last environmental requirement for wildlife fencing, which is on 241 Loma segment. There will be a design contract, I believe, coming to the committee and board for consideration in the very near future. And that plan did look at prioritization of future segments, and at the board's discretion, if funding is available, certainly staff will consider moving those along as well. Customer service, another area where we never really are complete with our tasks. We always look to revise or refine efficiencies here. Activities under Activity 4 have made significant progress, expanded public partnerships. You approved in March an agreement with the San Diego Association of Governments so we can serve as their back office. We are working to implement that agreement now. The Capital Area Regional Tolling Authority up in the Bay Area, more closer to the capital area in Sacramento, approved TCA, selected TCA as the preferred vendor for their back office services. So you'll see an agreement coming in the coming months to solidify that partnership there. For tolling technology, we like to focus on safety, so I'll highlight safety. We've been working closely with Director Lon's team, and with regards to safety, wrong way safety has been something we've been looking at with Caltrans for the past several years. Signage has gone up in several locations on the toll facility to enhance safety, and we continue to evaluate opportunities to improve safety with our partner agency at Caltrans. For communications, public engagement, Activity 2 point out, you will see press releases for bond paydowns and for improved credit ratings, so we always make sure we communicate to the public our financial health. And then Activity 6, I could have put a check mark here for the Historical Archive. We debuted the historical video in December of last year, but this is really an ongoing activity that we want to make sure we capture any historical activity with the agency. So this will be an ongoing activity you will see throughout the term of the strategic plan. Capital project delivery, another area where you've seen great progress throughout the year. Deliver capital improvement program, that's where 24191 falls. I'm not going to steal Chief Blanco's thunder for an item later in the agenda, so I'll just leave it that we've made significant progress on that, and you'll hear a little bit more about that coming up. Conduct other capital improvement projects, 241 Loma and Catalina View at San Joaquin. Those are continuing through implementation phases, and we anticipate following those through completion as identified in the capital improvement and strategic plan. We are completing a system-wide traffic study. We anticipate that being completed by the end of this year, and later this year we anticipate coming to the committees and board to show results of that study. Those studies are done every 4 to 6 years. Regional mobility partnerships, here 2 check marks. This is a big accomplishment. It's been talked about at the agencies for several years now, is how do we deal with regional mobility partnerships and partner with our member agencies to help them deliver projects throughout the county. The policy, the regional mobility partnership policies for each agency was adopted by the board in March of this year. So now we are looking at how do we transition this focus area for the next strategic plan, and that filters into this final slide here. Summary, goals and objectives, all the little pieces aggregate into greater activities. And what we've learned is that our goals and objectives are being met by what we've been doing on an annual basis. And what we've accomplished certainly puts the agency in a strong position for future success, and not just for the 5-year plan, but beyond the 5-year plan of the strategic plan. And lastly, as noted at the beginning, the plan was adopted in 2024 with board direction to staff to update the strategic plan on a 3-year rolling cycle. So that will occur in the next calendar year, 2027. We've already started that process, the visioning process, and we presented this to the Strategic Planning Committee, what that process looks like. But basically what we are looking to do, we've garnered input from staff. We are going to look to all the board members to solicit input so that we can develop a visioning workshop, a visioning board workshop. They were done several years ago. We'll be doing that process again early next year. Then once we get feedback from directors individually in the coming months and we get input from the visioning process, we will develop drafts of the next iteration of the strategic plan for your consideration towards the end of next fiscal year. So that concludes my report. Again, this is just a receive and file item, certainly available to entertain any questions.
Thank you so much for your report. Does anyone have any questions? You can push your request to speak button if you have any questions at this time. Director Voits has a question.
Thank you for the report. It's always good to see that we're moving forward with great projects for the commuters of Orange County. One of the things I was wondering is, if we have any updates on wrong-way drivers, tolling, technology. What's the technology look like with working with Caltrans and that? Maybe if you guys could have an update on that, if possible.
I will turn to Chief Toll Operations Officer Valdez.
And the reason I bring this up, I just got back from a trip to Vegas and I was driving along and it was, it would be so easy for someone to get on the freeway the wrong way that you want to get them as quick as you can. So where are we at that? Maybe if we give update to the whole board.
Sure. Be happy to do that. Well, to start, thanks for the question. To start, Caltrans on its own has a comprehensive statewide program for addressing wrong-way driving, and it really puts emphasis on prevention, stripes and some signage and roadway markings. And I'll defer to Lan for that. I feel weird talking about that with her sitting right there. But what we've done is we've worked with District 12 to build on that, right? And so for a first phase, we looked at something simple like putting enhanced signage, right? Identifying locations where we've seen wrong-way driving, incidents of wrong-way driving happening, and putting focus there on putting enhanced signage. So we had money in our budget for this past fiscal year. Last fiscal year. We spent that with Caltrans to put enhanced lighting signage up along a few exits off of the 241. And so what we're talking about with them, and those signs recently got installed, and we're very proud of that. We're now talking to them about a next phase. The next phase would be putting an emphasis on detection and alerts, all right? So detecting, so while the first phase is more about prevention, right, warnings and stripings and signage, the next phase would be about detecting when wrong-way incidents are happening and generating alerts. So we're talking to a technology company now about a portable unit, right? A portable wrong-way detection system that actually, is installed on a trailer, and you can take it out to different locations to do measurements and identify where you have problems. So we're looking forward to Vice Chair Voigt coming back to you real soon with a proposed agreement to essentially lease these trailers and proceed with that phase of the project.
Thank you, Vinny. If you could, technology, obviously we have cameras on the highways, on our roads. Isn't there a way that we could put a camera on the backside to where we see a car coming the wrong way, that would be an alert, that would be a stationary point, to where we'd have these stationary points at or even on the on-ramps or off-ramps of the freeway. Someone gets on an off-ramp, that should be an alert right away. There's no camera technology working with Caltrans or that other agencies?
That's exactly what this system is, that is
but-
installed on a trailer. It's a camera-based system, right? You need the programming and the logic that goes and does the image analysis to identify that a wrong-way event is occurring. And so the products we've been looking at specialize in doing that, detecting a wrong-way driver and then generating an alert and keep statistics so you can see over time, or you measure the extent of the problem over time.
Okay, thank you. I'll wait till you bring it up and dock it up for us for the committee, but I'm going to wonder, why can't we have it up permanent? I don't like the word mobility, so we're moving it from place to place. I'd like to have it off on every off-ramp. Thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Voigt. Director Zhao, you were on here and now you're off. Do you want to speak, or are you good? Okay. Well,
Chair, I was going to mention the wrong-way driving signs in my CEO comments, but Mr. Valdez did a very good job of articulating the good partnership with Caltrans District 12 and getting the signs up on the 241. It is an initial start into a much broader vision of improving road safety on the toll roads in Orange County.
great. Thank you so much. I do have another comment. Director Connors, you have a question?
I'm just curious, how significant is this problem? Clearly, if one person does it, it can be a disaster, but how many occurrences do we have of wrong-way drivers?
Definitely agreed, Director Connors. One is too many. Over the course, I don't have exact statistics with me, so I can definitely follow up with you on that. But let's say a few incidents per year per road. Yeah.
Chair, if I may add a bit more context, more broadly, what I've seen both here at TCA and elsewhere is that it's not necessarily the ones that we hear about in the newspaper that we should be exclusively concerned with. It's those that are turning the wrong way on a ramp and then turning around. Those are also the key components of why we're doing the wrong way driving signs and the like. There are quite a few number of drivers that will turn in and then realize somewhere down the ramp that they may have made a wrong turn. So part of the proactive process with these signs that Caltrans installed recently is to let them know early, right when they get on that ramp, flashes red in front of them, turn around. So we don't see a more broader incident happening where they're on the main line and going head on into traffic. Yep.
Great discussion. I see no further comments. This is receive and file, so we're going to move on to our next item. Item number 9 is our annual investment portfolio review for June 30th, 2026. This is also a receive and file item that does not require a vote. And this item will be introduced by Diana Honeywell, our Senior Director of Finance. May we please have that report?
Yes, good morning, chairs and directors. I am Diana Honeywell, Senior Director of Finance, and the item before you is the annual investment portfolio review for the year ended June 30th, 2026. We have Jason Smith here from Chandler Asset Management, which is the agency's investment advisor, to make this presentation this morning. Again, this is a receive and file item, and it was presented at the July meeting of the Joint Finance and Investment Committee, and it was unanimously recommended to forward to the board for further review. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jason.
Great. Good morning, everybody. I look forward to giving this presentation. So when we look at the agency's portfolios, we're going to start here and just look at the philosophy and strategy. And so if you think about it, the portfolios are really measured with really three real objectives involved. Safety, making sure the money is safe. Liquidity, ensuring there's enough liquidity in the portfolios to help with the operations. And then also the return of the portfolio. And so the investments also are very limited as far as the investable universe. And so typically the portfolio can only buy government and corporate bonds, and the corporate bonds have to be rated A or better. And so there's a real emphasis on capital preservation. As far as looking at the portfolio cannot buy the stock of any individual company. So it has to be bonds, it has to be the previous investable universe we spoke about. With that, we really have implemented very flexible strategies. So they provide liquidity when needed. They really achieve the goals of the agencies using a very disciplined approach. We also look to enhance returns by using diversification, and then also looking at balancing both risk and return through those market cycles. If we look what happened in 2026, so the agency's combined portfolio, $1.8 billion, earned $66.4 million for FY26. That was $4.6 million more than FY 2025. Also, the total returns were positive over the last 3 months, even though the Federal Reserve cut interest rates over that period of time by purchasing securities early on before those cuts took place. We were able to lock in those higher yields and really support the overall income and the stable returns of the portfolio. Also, you can see that we had very strong performance in corporate securities. So we buy corporate securities in the portfolio, and there was very strong performance with those securities over that period of time, which helped the portfolios to have above benchmark returns. If we look at the highlights, looking at the book yield, remember this is ending 6/30/2026. You can see the cash flow included unrestricted reserves. It eased a little bit, the yield, went from 4.26 to 4.06. And then the indentured reserves, that portfolio increased from 4.10 to 4.15. If we think about Foothill Eastern, looking at the cash flow including unrestricted reserves, the book yield eased there from 4.38 to 4.08. The indentured reserves increased from 3.69 to 4.10 over that period of time. If we turn our eyes to total return, remember that total return not only includes the income that's earned on the portfolio, but also looks at the market value change of those bonds over that period of time. And what you can see there, the cash flow included unrestricted reserves, the total return was 3.49. In the indentured funds, that was 3.17, which was around 23 basis points above that of the benchmark. If we turn our eyes to Foothill Eastern, we can see that the cash flow included unrestricted reserves, the total return was 3.49, and then the indentured reserves, the total return was 3.26, and that was 32 basis points above the benchmark. So very good returns for the portfolio over the last fiscal year. Let's talk a little bit how we structure the portfolios, and let's start with San Joaquin Hills first. And so as of 6/30, the portfolio was approximately $650 million. You can see that what we do is we take the different different accounts. We look at those accounts, kind of group those together, and look at strategies and really develop strategies for those different groups that we have. And so you can see the cash flow included unrestricted reserves. That's the largest component, and that's around $303 million, or 47% of the portfolio. And then you also have the yield restricted securities here, and you can see that's around $80 million of the portfolio. If we look at the overall asset allocation, how we're investing in the different securities, how we're investing those funds. And so you can see here all the different types of securities we purchase. So we're using basically all the tools in our toolbox in order to really achieve the goals. And then what you can see is our highest percentages there are U.S. Treasuries, so around $405 million, with corporate bonds being about $125 million of that total. Let's take a look at Foothill Eastern. Again, this is looking at the different groups that we have for the overall funds. You can see here is about $1.2 billion is the total. And what you can see here is, again, the cash flow, including unrestricted reserves, is approximately $792 million. And you have the indentured reserves being around $246 million. As far as looking at how those funds are invested, again, it's a very well-diversified portfolio using lots of different types of securities to achieve the goals of the agencies. Again, the highest percentages there, you have U.S. Treasuries being around $805 million, or 69% of the portfolio, and then you have corporate bonds being around $187 million, or 16% of the portfolio. If we look at the future strategy, looking at kind of what's going on in the markets today, how we'll be looking at investing the funds, is we will continue to have a very disciplined approach. We believe that's really served the agencies over time. We also think that if you look at the yield curve today, it's a steeper yield curve. So essentially, shorter-term rates are lower than that of longer-term rates. So we think that adds additional potential opportunities to add value to the portfolio. Remember, that has not been the case. It has been more recent, within the last year, that we've started to see that. Also, we'll continue to hold corporate bonds, and we'll really look at some of those high-quality bonds in order to look at that. And also, we want to ensure that we're diversified amongst different industries and also different issuers. So we'll continue to look for those opportunities that are out there, really earning that incremental return over government securities. And you also have additional details about the portfolio in your packet. And with that, I can answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much for that great presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions? Doesn't look like it, so we are going to receive and file that. Thank you so much for coming
right.
today.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Our last business item for today is item 10, 24191 Express Connector Construction Bid Phase Update. And this item will be presented by our Chief Capital Programs Officer, Stephanie Blanco. Again, this is another information-only item. Can we please have that report? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair and board members. Stephanie Blanco, Chief Capital Programs Officer. Very happy to be bringing this item before you today. It's the 24191 Express Connector Construction Bid Phase Update. So we have some good news here. This will be information only, and again, no board action is necessary. Oh, wait, went back. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Give me a second. I think we're having a little bit of... Just get us reset to my item, please. Oh, okay. So we've come a long way. So, there are a number of agreements that we've had with partner agencies, and you see all the green check marks here. So that's a lot of effort that we put into getting this project into the construction phase. The most important one here is a construction cooperative agreement. So that memorializes Caltrans' obligations as it relates to advertising, awarding, and administering the construction contract, and Foothill Eastern's obligation to fund the efforts and the contractor. And so that's really important for this phase of the project. Two agreements that are still pending include the maintenance agreement, and so that details out the maintenance activities related to the Express Connector, related to the structures and the roadway that Caltrans will be conducting, and that will be funded by the Express Connector revenues. That agreement is currently going through its final reviews at Caltrans, and hopefully we'll have a draft final to execute in the next couple months. I did highlight the 91 lease agreement. And so the Express Connector needs to have approval to work in the 91 express lanes. And so this lease agreement, there's an asterisk here. This is an agreement strictly between OCTA and Caltrans. So Caltrans and OCTA are working closely together to get to resolution to allow for the Express Connector to be constructed and operated in the express lanes area. So that we're looking to get that resolved in the next couple months as well. So now moving on to the bid phase. So Caltrans advertised the project with the approved plans and specifications package on May 4th. And as a result, there was a lot of interest from the construction industry. 121 bidder inquiries were received, and that's typical of a project of this size and this complexity. And so what that resulted in is 2 addendums being issued to be able to address any corrections, clarifications in the plans and specifications, but the overall scope remains the same. And so as part of this second addendum, it did extend the bid period a little further out from June 25th to July 16th to allow adequate responses to the bidder inquiries. And then on July 16th, Caltrans had a virtual public bid opening. And as you can see here, here's a table summarizing all the bidders and what their actual bids came in at. And so the engineer's estimate is $314 million. And as you can see from the 6 bidders provided here, all of the bids came in within 5 to 14% of the engineer's estimate. And so these are really acceptable in terms of what Caltrans sees as acceptable bids that are reasonable. And so what you see here is Security Paving in bold as a parent low bidder at $269 million, which is 14% under the engineer's estimate. So really good outcome that we were looking at for the public bid opening, and reasons why Security Paving's bid is at that figure is that they are taking advantage of current suppliers as it relates to asphalt and ready-mix concrete, and there's favorable pricing, and those are large ticket items on this project. And because of the favorable pricing, it did affect the pricing in a positive way. And then also they do a lot of self-performing work. And so in self-performing work, you don't have to deal with a lot of the markups associated with subcontractors. And then lastly, they are doing some work in the area. So they are working on the I-55 or the SR-55 project, as well as the I-5 project segment 1. And so because they're working in those areas, they can utilize some of those sites for borrow. And then they have some on-site. They have proposed some on-site operations, like crushing operations within the project area. So taking advantage of those results in a favorable bid for Security Paving. So now that we have a bid, what happens next? And so Caltrans is working very diligently to complete all of the bid analysis. And what that means is the bid analysis is to compare the engineer's estimate with the parent low bidder, and to ensure that any bid items that are significantly high or low get explained, and there's a full understanding of what that bid is. And then also looking at unbalanced bids, so they're just making sure that, you know, this bid is solid in terms of being able to award it. And then Caltrans also has to look at the funding, and in this case, TCA has the funding available. We don't have to go to the California Transportation Commission for any funding approval, so funding is ready and available. And then lastly, contracting requirements, so things like certifications, the qualifications, other licensing. Caltrans wants to make sure that is being made by the apparent low bidder before they award. So once Caltrans issues the award letter, then there's a notice to proceed. And in order for Caltrans to issue the notice to proceed, or otherwise known as a contract approval, they have to look at the bonding capacity of the apparent low bidder and make sure that they are financially solid. And then looking at the insurance requirements and ensuring they have the appropriate insurance documentation. And then finally, the execution of the contract. And with that, the notice to proceed, it typically after that, then there's that major physical construction can occur. So wanted to highlight here our milestone schedule. So we're looking to complete the agreements and get the award for the construction contract in October. So it's about a 60-day process. Once that's completed, another 30 days will be needed to verify a number of items for Caltrans to issue the notice to proceed or the contract approval. So we're looking at November. And the most exciting part of this is we're still targeting the groundbreaking in December for us to have that ceremonial event to be able to put this milestone in place to move into construction. And then it'll be a 3-year construction period with opening to traffic by late 2029. So good news story today. Again, the bids came in under our engineer's estimate within our overall project budget. Really excited to get into the construction phase of this project. And again, this item is information only and no board action is needed. I'm available to take any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Great job. We're all excited for this to be moving forward. Any questions from directors? Yes, Director Taylor, and then Director Frost.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, these bids then, they're solid now? They came in as the low bidder. We're going to choose that company. Is that determined now, or do we have to go back through the board to do that?
Caltrans is awarding the contract, so that was
Oh.
what we agreed on with Caltrans, with the construction co-op. So Caltrans does a low bid, and
Oh, I
we just
see.
verify that the bid is in all the bid items are adequate, and that that it would be the apparent low bidder that they award to.
Okay, so then
Yes.
the individual bids and things are not, they don't go through the board, this board?
No,
Yeah.
we've already approved the construction cooperative agreement, so that
Yep.
was the board's action to approve the construction
Okay,
contract.
thank you.
Yes.
Director Frost.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I guess I just noticed that Caltrans is actually executing the majority of the construction, not us.
Yes, so
Yes, I didn't.
Caltrans is administering the construction contract, and so TCA will be providing the oversight. We have a construction manager that we're hiring on, and we will have some support to ensure that we're working closely with Caltrans to ensure that any potential change orders that come through the contractor will be discussed, and that it's within our overall project budget. If there is an item that goes above that, that's definitely something that we would bring to the board.
That makes sense, since we're ultimately the bank here. Curious, why would we need the construction manager then? If Caltrans is executing, our construction manager would be responsible for reviewing change orders and whatnot, and making sure they're acceptable?
Yes, our construction managers, it's a risk management decision, right? So we want to make sure that Caltrans has a very solid process with, we have very solid design plans and specifications. Caltrans process is very regimented, and
Yep.
it ensures it minimizes claims. However, there may be some unforeseen circumstances that we have to look at and make sure in terms of this board and what we're funding is appropriate, and so we can provide that information to the resident engineer for Caltrans to ensure they take that under consideration before approving a claim or a
Yep.
change order.
That makes sense. If we were to go build something else, not this complex, would Caltrans do it, or would we actually execute the construction?
For projects such as CatView, that's currently going through project development in Loma, those would be projects that we would look to have TCA be able to advertise, award, and administer that construction contract. So that's our plan as of today to manage those projects for construction.
So Stephanie, if I can add on to that, I will say, Director Frost, that Caltrans is very good at administering construction contracts. I would
Yep.
say it's their bread and butter activities, and they are very good partners under that lens. When we move forward with our other two major capital improvement projects, we will begin having discussions with the department on who should AAA those jobs. But I wanted to be very clear that TCA and your team are very comfortable with Caltrans AAAing this job, and will be contemplating that same AAA partnership with them on the other two. In response to the question on our CM staff that we're hiring, the lens that they will be looking at is under the project sponsor's lens. So we're the ones cutting the check, as you had said. But we fully support and acknowledge Caltrans' expertise in managing this contract. It just gives us extra assurance there. And then the CM that we're hiring will also be construction managing our Pacifica improvements and the wildlife fencing and other projects along the way.
Okay, that sounds good. One final question. How do we pay Caltrans? Do we pay Caltrans? How does that work?
So we have already advanced funding for an initial part, and as the project is progressing, then we're going to get invoice payments from Caltrans to be able, because we have the construction cooperative agreement, so that's the vehicle that allows us to be able to pay Caltrans.
Caltrans, and how do we reimburse them? What are they, hourly, or did they give us a firm bid for their oversight?
They did. It's in the
And part of our-
construction. It's
part-
part of the construction co-op and detailed out for the work plan for that. Yes.
Got it. Okay, thanks. I was just interested. Thanks.
Director Frost, to add more clarity, Caltrans' actual hours are what's invoiced to us and what we pay back. So it's that process. And if I may take an opportunity to say, this project has been going on for a very, very long time. And in 2019, this board approved the term sheet with Caltrans, RCTC, and OCTA. That term sheet memorialized who would be AAA in this project. So it set that marker in the ground early and often, and it was supported by all the exec directors of the agencies at the time. And I'll close by saying I'm immensely proud and thankful for the partnership with OCTA, with RCTC, Caltrans, and the team here at TCA. I've worked on a lot of complex projects. This is by far and away right up there at the top. And we wouldn't be this far today if it wasn't for everybody, all of those agencies and their collective teams working in partnership to get it done. So very appreciative of the time and effort put in by all four of the agencies.
Great. Thank you so much for that discussion. Alternate Lim?
Yes, well, thank you so much. It was a very comprehensive review. This is actually a question for Caltrans Director Zhao. We have the 91 freeway that's expanding, as well as the 55 and improvements on the 57 as well. Is any of this, because this is, we're starting in 2027, is any of this going to be overlapping with that construction work? And have we thought about that critical path of construction?
Yes, sorry. Is your microphone on, Director Zhao?
And yeah, that's our job. So it's we are the ultimate owner and operator of the entire state highway system in Orange County. So not only we're doing the construction, provide construction. This we call AAA is a term, and doing this administration, everything, help not just for TCA. Almost all the work in the OCTA does, and we provide AAA as well. So because we have hundreds structural experts, and they take care, make sure build something it's safe for public, all the structures. And so I think just we will put the best people and the strongest team, and for this. Express Connector project, and we have a really strong team on this. And to answer your questions, it's part of our practice, and there are 7 projects going on 91 alone. So we have 52 projects, over $1.5 billion construction parallel going on in the field right now. So huge responsibility for our district, and this is just one of them, but this is an important one. So we always try, to analyze how to combine some project together, how to do it segment by segment, how to over time pace them. So we're very good at that. So just trust us, and we watch everything. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, I see no other requests to speak. So thank you for that report. We're looking forward to that moving forward. Appreciate all the work and all the partners that have worked on that. It's been a Herculean effort. Okay. Are there any public comments, Madam Clerk?
No public comments, Chair.
No public comments? Okay, so we'll move on to our CEO's report, and I'll now turn it over to CEO Chamberlain.
Thank you, Chair. Last week, TCA hosted an energetic group of undergraduate and graduate college students as part of WTS Orange County Transportation's Academy. It was TCA's 17th year hosting the event here at the TCA offices. Students were taken on a tour of the 241 toll road while learning about the history of TCA, innovations in toll operations, and our environmental commitment and award-winning programs. The sessions wrapped up with an interactive panel discussion with students and TCA senior staff, where they had an opportunity to learn what it's like to have a career in transportation and what real life work is when it comes to implementing large projects of that nature. As I've mentioned before, programs like this are important for the overall health of the transportation industry to help ensure that there is a robust pool of qualified people to replace others that retire or leave their respective jobs for other opportunities. So it's important that we're doing our part to make sure that we've got a bench for those to replace others. Moving on, I'm not going to reiterate everything that Chief Toll Operations Officer Valdez says. I think he did a good job describing the wrong way driving signs that were implemented and put in by Caltrans recently. But I will note that the innovative thing on that project is that it was a TCA-sponsored project. We paid for the signs and paid for the labor to put them in, but it was an effort with Caltrans, who actually installed the signs and purchased them and had them fabricated. The unique part of these signs is we streamlined the process where we didn't have to run power to each one of them. They have lights that flash, so we used solar on the signs with some battery backups to flash, so we didn't have to do trenching, expediting the delivery process. So wanted to really thank Caltrans and the team here at TCA for implementing that project as fast as we possibly could, and to note that this is just one step in a much larger vision of Caltrans and TCA improving safety along our corridors. Lastly, in closing, chairs, I'd like to request that we adjourn to closed session today in memory of Paul Bopp. He was a valued member of the TCA consultant team who sadly passed away this past weekend. It was an honor to work with Paul over many years and to witness the tremendous contributions he made throughout more than 2 decades of service to TCA. His expertise, dedication, and commitment to helping shape many of the projects and initiatives that have contributed to the immense success of these agencies. Paul's legacy will continue to be felt throughout the toll roads and the organization he helped to build. His knowledge and passion for innovation were recently captured in TCA's history video, where he shared invaluable insights about the founding of the agencies and the pioneering design and construction of our toll road system. On behalf of TCA, we extend our deepest sympathies and prayers to Paul's family, friends, and colleagues during this difficult time. Thank you, chairs. That concludes my CEO report.
Thank you so much. Next, we have board chair reports. Chair Kelly, do you have anything to report?
I just want to again say thank you and congratulations to Ms. Blanco and the team for the work and hitting another milestone today, as we saw in the report. Lots of good work behind this effort, and as it was noted, a lot of history. So that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just share that I attended 2 OCTA tours to see how they toll their 91 express lanes and their 405 express lanes. It was very informative and educational for me. So great to chat with that organization and see how they do things over there. With that, at the request of CEO Chamberlain, we'd like to adjourn to closed session in memory of Paul Bopp, who sadly passed away Sunday night. Paul was a consultant project manager for TCA, who dedicated more than 25 years of his career to working with TCA. Paul played an important role in the development and success of TCA and the toll roads. His expertise, dedication, and contributions helped shape projects that have become an important part of Orange County's transportation network and history. Most recently, he worked with TCA on current capital improvement projects like the 24191 Express Connector project and helped to deliver the Oso Parkway Bridge project. We extend our deepest condolences to his family, friends, and colleagues. We're grateful for his many years of service and for the lasting mark he left through the projects and programs that have helped improve mobility throughout Orange County. We will adjourn to closed session in memory of Paul Bopp. Mr. Rubin, can you take the full board into closed session?
Yes, Chair, thank you. We'll be going into a joint closed session for 2 items. The first is a public employee performance evaluation for the CEO under Government Code Section 54957, Subdivision B1. The second is conference with labor negotiators. Those are the 2 chairs and myself under Government Code Section 54957.6, again for the CEO. And I do not anticipate reportable action.
Okay, Mr. Rubin, are there any items to report out after our closed session?
No, Chair, nothing to report.
Okay, thank you so much. The next regularly scheduled meeting of San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agency Board of Directors and the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency Board of Directors will be held on Thursday, September 10th, 9:30 a.m., right here at TCA offices. Thank you so much.